Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak at 12 minutes to 8 o'clock. That's the time that we have to conclude this conversation. And I want us to focus on now. I know Dr. Chris Omalo had indicated that the president should form a committee that should look into this. But knowing too well that the first report of the BBI was released to the country on the 27th of November 2019, it took 11 months to 26th of October 2020 for us to have what we have now that you're talking about. It obviously might take time for people to revise what's already provided for. Then thereafter you can go to the processes of whether it's popular initiative or through introduction to parliament. It takes time, and there are several laws that have to be passed before the next general election.
I don't think so. One thing we need to understand is this committee has been in place, and it is bound to be biased. We want a new chairman. We don't want Professor Adam Zalo to be the chair.
To be the vice chair.
Or to be whatever the case, or Haji. Let them give room for purposes of objectivity. Once you've managed, you've brought your document here, let's have another new team, a slim team. And the level of understanding, the people you're going to pick also must have some kind of minimum academia or expertise. So I don't think it is going to take long, because somebody who is interested has been paying attention, because this has been a conversation that's been going on. So I don't think that it will take long. The issues, we want to bring in objectivity, we want to remove bias. So this committee has done the work. Yes, Professor Olo and your team, thank you. We've done it. Let's have a new team, a new team of about 5 or 7, and let it be picked from the church, from the LSK, and maybe some respectable civil societies, so that we don't also bring in people with so much of the interest. Politicians, in this case, let them be left out, because they'll have an opportunity when it comes to the floor of the house. Okay? To me, that's very, very important. And once you hand over, to this team, let this team be given some time frame. Let them be given about 1 month or so, because the issues that Kenyans are raising, they're very pertinent.
Right.
Like, for instance, the issues that Deputy President raised, and I've just mentioned to you, I have an issue of the division of revenue, because in this proposed BBI, they are saying you delete Article 218. Article 218 talks about the division of revenue. This is the vertical sharing of revenue between the national government and the county government. So when you read that, you delete that, you are removing the role of the Senate. And the new proposal they have put in place, normally, ideally, in line with our standing orders, if a bill has come to the floor of the House and Senate has rejected, or maybe has come up with a different version, and the National Assembly has passed it with amendments, they have to go to the mediation. What the mediation committee does, it's supposed to harmonize and bring a bill that is agreeable to both houses. But in the event that they do not agree, there's a provision that the National Assembly, once it passes with the majority, it can be taken to the President for assent. This is contrary to the advisory that was given by the Supreme Court, because Senate is ordinarily there to legislate for the interests of the counties. But if you remove the counties, in case of DORA, that is the division of revenue, then you are lowering the participation of the Senate. And I do agree with His Excellency the Deputy President over that matter. We are seeing the Senate, the role of the Senate, the function of the Senate are being watered down. They're going just to be like flower girls. So we want a new team to come in. Why I'm saying that this team, if it continues with the inputs, is likely to be biased. Let's have a new team, and I strongly feel that the Senate should be an upper house.
Dr.
Because you can't allow
Dr. Chris Omalo, don't you think the term flower girls is not gender compliant?
No. Okay.
Anyway,
I'm just putting it across just as an analogy. Not really that is anything to degrade the ladies. Not really. Okay, flower boys or page boys, whatever. We can call them page boys, whatever it is. But there's an attempt here to lower the level of the Senate, which is very wrong. Okay. The Senate must play a critical role when it comes to allocation of the national revenue to the counties. Okay. Because they are there to protect the interests of the counties. So the deletion of Article 218 is in a bad interest.
It's deletion and replacement. Senator Mwaura, so you're very passionate about the interests of the persons with disability, the special interest groups in the country, as well as the representation of gender. And you have made your voice heard, I think, since the weekend. What do you think needs to happen so that all these interests, which are very pertinent, and it was a win when the 2010 document was passed, they are safeguarded?
I think one of the things we need to do is to make sure that these groups are permanently represented in these houses. It should not be seen as if they are adds on. We need youth, we need persons with disabilities, and women in the Senate. That will need to happen. In the National Assembly, it's nearly impossible to have women and people with disabilities and the youth, because what you are going to do is to have 360 people elected in single and multiple member. Like Roiro is likely to be a multiple member, so we have 2 or 3 members of parliament. And I think if I was to run there, I would have a chance because I tried last time. But remember, for Isaac Mwaura to happen, it was through affirmative action. We need more Isaac Mwauras of this world. The women we have today came through the women rep. That's why we have Gladys Bosholei. That's why we have Gladys Wanga. Even people like Millie Odhiambo, they were nominated. President Uhuru Kenyatta himself had not won Gatondo. He first came in as nominated. Let's be clear about it. These positions are important. Otherwise, then you would still relegate to the marginalization. The political parties, for example, you know the shambolic nominations. I have another bill called the Party Primaries Bill that is supposed to cure this problem. Because when you say 5% of 360, how are parties going to achieve? These positions are aspirational. You have that as a general rule, although even for disability, the word progressive needs to be removed in Article 54, Sub-Article 2. It has been a big hindrance. So you have that one, but then also you have assured, guaranteed positions. Even you want to fill it by avoiding, party leaders nominating their girlfriends and boyfriends, create electoral colleges within the parties that are properly guided by a legislation so that then the people in the party elect their own. Then those will be true representatives in parliament in that regard. But to remove the positions, and then you dump women in the Senate, and then you say people with disabilities don't deserve the representation, and then you make a joke and a mockery of it at Bombers there because that was a joke and a mockery of people with disabilities. I think that is not acceptable. So I agree with it. We, as people with disabilities, have been focusing, have been meeting. As you have rightly noted, we are forming committees. We have a memorandum that we are developing, and we will be speaking to the new structures that will be created or whichever way forward. We will engage Right Honorable Raila Odinga. We'll engage President Uhuru Kenyatta. We thank Deputy President William Ruto for standing with the people who are marginalized. And also, let me say this. Surely, when you have all the ministers in the National Assembly, when you have deputy ministers there, you need a Senate that is the upper house, that has got veto power on legislation. Otherwise, then what is the need of having a legislature, when you have fused the executive and the legislature together? How do you have a weak Senate when it is controlling 35% of all our income, of our revenue? So basically, this was a rush document. I think there are some people who don't have the real interests of the people at heart. Let us sit down and have a conversation. We are willing to talk. We don't want to reject this document. But if we are not listened, for sure we'll be in the no campaign, because we can't allow our gains to be lost.
Right. Senator Mwaura, I need you to clarify on 2 issues. You said deputy ministers. I don't think the document proposes deputy ministers unless you're talking about deputy prime ministers. Secondly, you say it was a mockery. Mockery to who?
It's a mockery to people with disabilities, and those are the special interest groups. Because let me ask you, if you look at the amendment of Article 97A, the new provision, those 70 seats are not for women. Please, let's understand. Those special seats are not for special interest groups. They are for people to go and compete. And when you go to compete on the ground, people with disabilities are not going to make it because of stigma and discrimination and poverty. There is a bidirectional covariance between poverty and discrimination. Look how many MPs who are women, for example, are elected in the single-member constituency currently. Let's say the truth. But we have seen people who are women rep today, tomorrow they are elected like Aisha Jumwa. People who are women rep, who are nominated today like Janet Eya, tomorrow they are elected as women rep for Kajiado. We have seen people who are nominated like council like Tim Wanyonyi, today is MP for Westlands. Yeah. It is a very good opportunity to fight stigma and discrimination. So that people remove the biases. For example, let me finish by this. I am the first person with albinism to be in parliament. Why not for nomination? It would never have been known that I would be anybody in this country. I want more Mwauras. I want more Sankoks. Now we have a better opportunity for people to see that we are leaders. Why are you killing that opportunity? Okay. What is the justification?
All right, Honorable Boss, you'll have the final word as we conclude on this. So now, with all this, you said that the process was illegitimate or the methodology was wrong. So what should happen to the document? Just forget about it and focus on the next phase of life in Kenya? Or is there a window that you can improve it because of the good things that it proposes, including what people are saying that it's a promise to the youth?
My position is that this report should not be delivered to us, as was said by Raila Odinga, that it is a malaria tablet that we must swallow whether we like it or not. I associate myself with the sentiments of the Deputy President, where he said, let us interrogate this document. And in fact, of all the speakers in Bomas, he's the only one who pointed out areas that we should have conversation with. And I see from Senator Mwaura and also from the next governor of Trans Nzoia, Chris Wamalwa, has said that, that we need to relook at those issues. And that it should become a conversation that we must interrogate. And as Chris said, is that there's some of the legislation they've given us. And I want to give just 2 examples. Look at the prompt payment bill. Who legislates things that are standard practice? Paying people on time within 30 days is worldwide standard practice. You don't have to legislate it. Are you telling us that Kenya has become so mediocre that we have to tell people you have to pay your bills? That's just standard practice. Even if you look at even what the bill has, it only creates an offense, tells us there will be a tribunal, and then gives us the power of review. It actually is an empty document. This is not a bill, actually. And then if you look at what they're giving us as the health bill, the health bill is simply establishes a tribunal, tells us the composition of the tribunal, tells us how the tribunal will be formed, the powers and qualifications of the tribunal, what happens if there is a vacancy, and how someone can be removed during their term of office, and the usual provision that you must have annual estimates and financial reports. End of story. It tells me nothing about the health sector.
Honorable Boss, one wonders listening to you.
This is a document that I think we need to have a conversation on Kenyans, and tells us how low have we sunk as Kenyans to the point that we bring frames of legislation and call it draft bills made by those 50 people. I agree with Chris Wamalwa that, by the way, some people with brains should look at this document again.
Honorable Boss, one wonders whether there's anything good in the document. Yes or no? Is there?
There are a few things that I can speak to, but even the things that they have mentioned that I agree with, there is already existing legislation and existing policies and existing provisions in our law and in our constitution, which we have not implemented. So the fact that you create a new law won't make you implement it. Why don't you implement, exhaust the one that you have, and then say, now there is a loophole, and the failure to implement is because this part of legislation is going to happen. This is tantamount to legislating people to heaven.
Unfortunately, I have to cut you short.
More legislation doesn't mean that Kenyans are going to style up.
Okay, I can only allow you 20 seconds, Senator Mora and Dr. Wamala. 20 seconds starting with you, Senator.
Yeah, yes, I think let me just clarify this, and just to agree with Honorable Gladys Sholei, we need to do a rethink, but also do not demonize the IEBC, honestly. Can we have a situation where we remove interests of political parties from IEBC? Because we cannot, that's the same thing we did with the ECK, the same thing we did with the IIEC, the same thing we did with the first IEBC. I mean, and we cannot do the same thing and expecting different results. Yeah.
Thank you.
Finally, Dr. Omalo.
Now, in terms of institutional memory, I think IBC continuity is very important, and the issue of learning curve. IBC is like any other constitutional independent commission, and Article 251 has really provided for issues of petition. So if anybody anywhere has a problem with the commissioners, he should do a petition to Parliament so that a tribunal can be put in place. But the BBI, the proposal of saying they're going to put a committee in place that they're going to vet, it's unconstitutional, should not be acceptable. We should look at the curricular report, which clearly stipulates the time frame of 24 months. Right now, we're about 20 months to the next elections. So to me, if we want these elections to be successful, first the issue of bringing referees from few teams, that one should be out. Because the referee should be neutral, and what we are putting in clause is the president should expedite the selection panel so that we get the remaining 4 commissioners to join the 3 commissions so that they can start preparing for the general election in 2022. But the issue of vetting them should not happen because it will be discriminatory. It's provided for in Article 251. Anybody who has a problem, do petition those commissioners for their dismissal or whatever the case.
Dr. Chris Omalo, Member of Parliament for Kiminini, Senator Isaac Mora, nominated Senator of the Jubilee Party, and Gladys Boss, the woman representative for us in Geshu. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning to have this conversation. It continues in the coming days. As like I said, one may wonder whether there's anything good in it, because even when I gave the opportunity to Gladys Boss, she had a few things to say, but also with a caveat. So that's our time. Unfortunately, Gladys Wanga, the Member of Parliament for Homa Bay County, was not able to join us. She sent her apologies, but this conversation continues. Even online, we'll be in a position to look at some of your feedback later on. My name is San Gituku. See you again at 9 o'clock as we bring you the latest in the world of news. Stay tuned.